Hey everyone, welcome back to another year-end special. This is my top 10 vinyl pickups of 2018. That's right, these are all my favorite records that I bought throughout the year, which means that some of these didn't necessarily come out in 2018, but they are new to me. Most of these you've seen except for the very first record, and let's start with number 10, and this is Anoraak's debut album, Night Drive with You, originally released in 2008. This is the 2018 10th anniversary edition put out by Vinyl Moon, and I was so stoked to pick this up. I think this was a limited edition, maybe 500 copies. I could be wrong on that, but oh my goodness, this is a double LP. It's a synth wave, synth pop piece. It's just so fantastic. Still holds up 10 years later. I'm actually surprised that this is 10 years old when listening to it. Fantastic cover art. It's a gatefold opening up. Just a lot of great tour pictures. On the back here, you get the track listings, credits, and whatnot. Now this is a double LP and it came on colored vinyl. Disc 1 is this lovely pink, and then you have a white on the for disc 2. Great stuff, like I said at the top, just great vocals, very catchy, very poppy. Just really can't recommend this one enough. I'm so excited that I picked this up because honestly, I missed this when it came out in 2008, and to have it now, just better late than never. Continuing the theme of synth-based music, we have High Wraith by Cat System Corp. This was the year that I dove into Vaporwave thanks to Matt from Too Many Records, and this was one of the records that he brought along that I just fell in love with, and I had to pick it up. Just a great release. Check out our episode on Vaporwave to hear more about this album. And then I also briefly talked about it in a Vaporwave pickups video, an awesome finds video. You guys can check that out as well because I picked up another Cat System Corp record, but just so excited to have this. Coming in at number 8, we have SWANS, the SEER. I had never really given the SWANS much attention until a viewer of the show, Joe, a fan of the show, sent this to me, and I am internally grateful. Thank you so much again. This was just so fantastic. If you want to hear more about it, I suggest checking out my Awesome Finds video where I go more into detail on the music. But to sum up, this was just, it was less like listening to music and more like watching a film. It just had so much emotion and highs and lows, and it just was a beautiful piece of music, just a great sensual listening experience, and I am just so excited to dive more into the SWANS. So thank you so much. Coming in at number 7, we have EV.EXI with Remember. Oh my goodness, this was a great future funk album. This was put out by Correspect Records, pretty much a brand new indie label, putting out some great future funk records, and this was their first release, and I was so glad to get on the ground floor of this record. I talked about it, I believe in the same episode where I talked about Cat System Corp, so be sure to check that out when you guys finish this video, but yeah, really enjoyed this record. Coming in at number 6, we have Emil Rottmayer with Descend. Just a fantastic synthwave record. Totally 80s inspired, just a luscious piece of 80s candy. I am a sucker for anything 80s and synth bass, and this is just right up my alley. This is on Dream Girl Records. Just a fantastic piece of music. Be sure to check out my episode of Awesome Finds where I dive more into this. Coming in at number 5 is VOODOO's debut album, Hooked, from 1990, and I just talked about this album on a previous episode of Awesome Finds. But yeah, this was so cool to revisit, and I'm so thankful to have this album in my collection. I know I paid too much for it, but it was totally worth it. Number 4, I'm kind of cheating a bit. It's actually 2 different records, but they're both related because this was the year of Bill and Ted's for me. Not only did I pick up for the first time the original motion picture soundtrack. This is all of the, the pop releases, the commercial releases. I also got the original motion picture score, which is the first time it's been available on vinyl. So now I have the complete, at least for me, the complete soundtrack to one of my favorite childhood films. and it's just, it's like, it's the next best thing to owning the original film. You know what I mean? And to have it as Wild Stallions on this cover and have the more traditional Bill and Ted's look on this cover, just, it's a complete package for me. So yes, this was a banner year for Bill and Ted fans. Coming in at number 3, I have the original motion picture score to Kung Fury. Now, I missed out on the original release of this. Admittedly, I enjoy the cover art to that more, as I talked about in that episode of Awesome Finds, but this is the re-release expanded double LP edition. So music-wise, I'm glad I waited and got this one. Oh my gosh, I spent a lot of money on it, but it was totally worth it. I mean, it was shipped all the way from Sweden, so you can imagine shipping alone doubled the cost of this album, but it was worth the wait. Just a gorgeous piece of music. I think you guys are starting to see a theme here. I love synth music. I love 80s soundtracks, and when they're together, it's like a marriage made in heaven. I'm telling you, this is just a great, fantastic album. Most of it is done by Mitch Murder. I should really get more into his other releases, but there's some other fantastic artists, including David Hasselhoff, The Lost Years, Betamax, Highway Superstar, and Christopher Ling here. I believe that's everybody. But yeah, just a great soundtrack. I can't wait to see the sequel feature film edition. But in case you're wondering, that is what the original soundtrack looked like. It had more of that image. But you know, this one's cool too. You open it up and it's got a nice panoramic look about it. I like the cartoon comic book look of all of that. Anyway, so stoked to finally get this and not have to pay the scalper prices for it. Coming in at number 2 is VOODOO 3, The Exotic Sounds of Robert Drosnin. And my goodness, I love Exotica. It's one of the reasons I started collecting vinyl way back when I was a teenager. And to hear a classic artist recreate that sound in the modern era was just fantastic. And it's bittersweet because Robert passed away before this album was completed, but his loving friends put this together and just did him true justice. I talked about it on an episode of Awesome Finds, which you guys can read more about, but this is on Dionysus Records. They're a local indie label that's been around forever here in Los Angeles. And anyway, I'm just so excited to have this on vinyl. I hope that they put out VOODOO number 2 on vinyl. It came out on CD in the 90s, but to my knowledge, it hasn't been released on vinyl yet. But crossing my fingers that in 2019, we might get that release. All right, coming in hot at number 1, we have the original motion picture soundtrack to Big Trouble in Little China. This is the Mondo release expanded double LP edition. This is the Comic-Con exclusive pressing, and that's all thanks to Matt from Too Many Records. He went there and picked this up for me. I'm just so thankful on 2 fronts. 1, that Matt did that, and then 2, that this was put out. This is one of my favorite movies. It's one of my earliest childhood memories of going to the theater. And when I revisited it years ago, maybe like 10 years ago, I forgot how much of an impact this movie had growing up, and just my love of adventure films, fantasy films. And the character study of Kurt Russell is just fantastic. Sort of he's an anti-hero. Really, the hero is the sidekick. It's a role reversal. He's just this clueless, I don't want to call him an idiot, but he's kind of clueless, and he just happens to save the girl, all thanks to the supporting characters who are really the true heroes. And it's just a fantastic score by John Carpenter. It's a lot of fun. The movie bombed in theaters, but it's since gained a cult following, and it's just continues to be one of my favorite films. This is a gorgeous release put out by Mondo, as I should expect, no less. But yeah, Big Trouble Little China, wow, what a fantastic year. I got some amazing 80s music, both of the era and more emulating the era, some future funk, some vaporwave, some fantastic soundtracks to some of my favorite films. It's just, I'm just so thankful that a lot of these releases are coming out. I mean, it's just been a banner year. I'm so very thankful. Well, that will do it for this time around. I want to thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to leave me a top 10 list of your favorite pickups that you got this year. It doesn't matter if they came out a couple of years ago, if they're used vinyl, it doesn't matter. Just let me know what you got and let me know what you think of my pickups. Until then, I'm your Vinyl Geek, and I'll catch you on the flip side. Hey everybody, thanks again for checking out this top 10 list of my favorite vinyl pickups of 2018. If you want to see more videos, I have 2 links up there. If you like what you saw, I put out new videos every Tuesday and sometimes Friday. So if you haven't already, be sure to hit subscribe.